guest hosts and callers, and not necessarily of this station, its management, or other advertisers.
Welcome to the Bad Girl's Guide to Living Well with Heather Dowen, NMD. Spend time with Dr. Heather and her guests for tales of love, adventure, and how to be healthy and happy. Now, here's your host, Dr. Heather Dowen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bad Girl's Guide to Living Well. My name is Dr. Heather Dowen, and I host this podcast as a companion podcast to the website Naturopathic MD, where you can get wellness plans and advanced functional medicine testing and have an appointment with a naturopathic MD just about anywhere in the world. We've got clients on most continents now, actually, except Antarctica. So that's really good. And it offers options for people that may or may not have options where they are. So I recommend taking advantage of that site, getting to know it, and seeing. I moved to California, which, funny enough, I had a little bit in Arizona. The acacia trees, when they went in bloom, they would turn me into a snot factory, which is exactly what I am right now. And so that's how I want to start today, with talking about how to manage your seasonal allergies naturally. I actually have a drink right here that I need to have some because I feel all itchy up in the face. And that is palm juice with about 7 grams of vitamin C in it, because vitamin C is one of the best ways to manage the inflammation that comes along with histamine, because histamine is what regulates your or stimulates your inflammatory response associated with seasonal allergies. And that's why we take antihistamines like Benadryl, Claritin, those sorts of things. However, you may or may not want to have drugs in your body. And if you don't want to have drugs in your body, or you don't want to take them every day, some people have to take them every day because their allergies are so bad. That I wanted to offer some options. So first of all, let's talk about inflammation, because it's one of the cornerstones of what we consult on at Naturopathic MD. And so that is inflammation, stress, and toxicity. And inflammation is at the root of cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, allergies, autoimmunity, just about every chronic disease you can think of, along with non-chronic diseases, have a level of inflammatory response. Obviously, it's how the body heals itself, and it's how the body can protect itself. But when it's out of balance, then it's something that we need to address and take care of. Excuse me. You can see I'm not faking it. So with allergies, if you have them every day and you need to take something every day, one of the best ways, anything that I'm going to talk about as far as supplementation wise, is really only a Band-Aid. And philosophically, I like to stay away from offering Band-Aids, because it's not what I try to do. I try to address the cause and find the cause. But since I can't cut down every tree in Sacramento, I can't address that. It's a little bit snide, right? And a little bit sarcastic. However, there are levels of inflammation in me because I have been eating a lot of Easter chocolate. Chocolate is one of the things that I'm sensitive to, so I really shouldn't be eating it. And this has raised my inflammatory levels generally. So now I'm reacting to all of the things in bloom, even though I don't normally react to. They've been in bloom for a while, and this has just started. So my body reached its level of inflammatory process. And I am going to be dosing myself on this show so you can see, we'll actually see if it works, because you can hear I'm a little bit stuffy and snotty and itchy. And so one of the things I can really feel when I start to eat something that I know I shouldn't eat, or that there's something in the air that's bothering me, is the roof of my mouth starts to itch. You can hear it. I'm a little bit stuffy up in the nose as well. And my eyes are not as open as they should be because I have allergies today. So this is nettles, Urtica dioica, and it is stinging nettles. So if you live in the Pacific Northwest or I think it's also in the East. It grows just about everywhere as a weed. And if you touch it, it will sting you. And it's actually very highly anti-inflammatory, especially for histamine. It helps stabilize your mast cells, which are the cells in your body, part of your immune system, that release histamine. So if your mast cells are irritable or fed up or hypervigilant, then they can release more histamine. And that's where a lot of chronic allergies come from, along with eating things that you really shouldn't be, or living with a cat or a dog, or, having mold in the house, or exposed to grass. Like, there's things that you really shouldn't be sensitive to. But our immune systems are inundated with toxicity, and our stress response inhibits our immune action. And so it can get deranged that way. So it's all like chicken and the egg. And it's a complicated picture, but let's try the nettles and see what happens. Nettles, they don't taste like, the bowels of hell quite so bad, so I can take it straight. I don't recommend doing this if you're not used to it. I actually love nettles. You can put them in oil, and it takes the stingers off of it, and eat them like a delicious nutty green. Or this is a Gaia Herbs organic nettle leaf tincture that you can also use. I would recommend putting it in like a shot glass and adding in, this is about 30 drops or 1 milliliter. I'm going to do a lot of it because I can't deal with these allergies the whole time that I'm doing this today. So 1 full dropper, there's 3 milliliters. 90 drops. Let's see how that goes. This is my vitamin C it's actually palm and cherry, which are 2 really good bioflavonoids, especially for cardiovascular and vessel health and strength, which is an important part of the inflammatory process as well, with a buttload of vitamin C. I don't recommend doing 7 grams of vitamin C in 1 drink if you're not used to it. I've been giving lectures before where I was a little bit sick and I superdosed myself on vitamin C. And remember, vitamin C goes to bowel tolerance. And so you could be in danger of crapping your pants if you take too much of it. And so if you're about to give a lecture, it's not a really good plan to superdose it, no matter how sick you are. Everything worked out all right. However, work up to bowel tolerance so you get an idea of how much you can absorb before you really push the envelope. Unless you like surprises or, are into living on the wild side. I mean, this is the bad girl's guide to living well, right? So I'm going to have a little bit more vitamin C. And then let's do another shameless plug for my brother's supplement Cover 3, because it has 900 milligrams of EPA, which is an anti-inflammatory omega-3. And you can actually travel with this in your purse. So if you don't want to carry pills around, one of the things that makes me the most, I'm paying extra attention to my language lately as far as how I talk to myself and others. So I don't really get mad about it. I get frustrated about when I put fish oil pills through the laundry, because you ruin clothes because they smell like nasty rotten fish. And if you forget them in your pocket, like I might, and my partners might, you ruin clothes, which is unfortunate. So if you have this in your purse or your pocket, you're probably not going to put this through the washer, and you can travel with fish oil. And this supplement, he's really a genius, even if he does make me look bad. And it's good for diabetes, it's good for head injuries, it's good for heart disease, and it's a great way to travel with essential fatty acids. And essential fatty acids are the other big piece of how to stabilize your mast cells and help with seasonal allergies. And I can already feel it clearing. I don't know if you can hear it or see it, but I can definitely feel it. All right, so we'll see if my face stays clear after that. Isn't that hot? It's blowing your nose on the podcast. This is real life, man. It's real life. So we talked about nettles. We talked about vitamin C. They both stabilize mast cells. EPA, which is an essential fatty acid omega-3, is generally anti-inflammatory, and it's, modulates eicosanoids. Got that in the back of my brain. And that helps with the immune system and cytokine signaling, etc. It's complicated. Who really cares? Now, the other thing that I recommend a lot, I have a dear friend in Houston that I usually send this to her every year. It's called All Q LEAR. It's by Integrative Therapeutics. You can order it at naturopathicmd.com through our ordering platform. And it's a chewable supplement made from a quail egg. Now, Integrative Therapeutics is a German company, I believe. They're a pharmaceutical company in Germany, and so they've got some really innovative, integrative products. And I like them very much. I use their sleep stuff. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But quail eggs, weird, right? I mean, who did that research? It works great. She's called me up before just laughing her ass off because she's like, haha, I'm the only person in Houston without allergies because of this supplement. And so everybody else is going around snotting their faces off, and she's all good. So that is another thing that you can check out because it's chewable, it works quickly, and if it works, great. But now these are all Band-Aids, remember. So we want to look at the underlying inflammatory processes that are going on in your body, because if you are allergic, that means you've got inflammation in your body in other areas that might not be as clear to see as sneezing and snotting your face off. So one of my other favorite supplements is called quercetin. And it's a bioflavonoid. It's found in a lot of peels of citrus fruits, and it's a bioflavonoid that's highly anti-inflammatory, and it's good for tissue integrity and tissue strength. Remember, inflammation starts when your tissues are weak because it's supposed to go and heal them up. And it's when that gets out of balance and haywire and doesn't work effectively or properly that we have a root of disease. Quercetin is a big, or was a big tool that Dr. Bill Mitchell used. Bill Mitchell is one of the co-founders of Bastyr University in Seattle, who trains naturopathic doctors. And I was lucky enough to train with him for a short period of time before he passed. And he was a great gift to medicine in general, but he loved quercetin. And so after I trained with him, I came home and I was quercetin crazy for everything. I even mixed it into vodka one time. That's a story for another time. And I thought it might be a carrier. It doesn't mix very well. And so taking it in a capsule form is a good plan. They do have quercetin and vitamin C combinations for allergies that work really well. But quercetin is great. I actually put it in my healing gut power powder that I make people to help heal up leaky gut and deal with Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, IBS, IBD, because it's such a good healer of tissues and an anti-inflammatory. And I love it. Bill loved it. He was a genius. And so I've taken that little piece from him and integrated it into a lot of what I do. Bioflavonoids, like I said, I'm drinking palm and cherry juice, a little bit diluted with extra vitamin C, right? So those bioflavonoids, the reason we eat our colors are to get the bioflavonoids. And you want to eat things that have colors in your fruits and vegetable family, like bright ones, dark ones, beautiful ones, because they make your tissues stronger. And they are just good for so many different processes. When I look at the nutrition genomes that I run, I can see like everybody needs more bioflavonoids. So before we get off the topic of histamine, I want to talk a little bit about have you possibly heard about hyperhistaminemia? And that is when you've just got so much histamine in your body that your inflammation is out of control, and it can end up in it can be like cystitis issues and allergies, migraines, hormone problems, insomnia, et cetera, because you just have so much histamine because you're just so inflamed. And so when we look at the nutrition genome, we can see whether you break down histamine well. And if you don't, there are things that you can take in order to help with stabilizing histamine, but also breaking it down. And as I've talked about, nettles is a thing that's recommended, vitamin C, different minerals. And if you have histamine problems, or if you have significant allergies year round, or you feel like you've got a lot of, health concerns that may or may not be able to be addressed effectively with, conventional interventions, then that nutrition genome is such a good test to get, because it can really look deeper into the underlying reasons why your body behaves the way that it behaves. And then it gives you specific things to eat so that you can manage that long term. We usually recommend supplementing up front with it, because then you get your levels, raised, and you don't have to, you can't necessarily eat. Well, like resveratrol, for example. Resveratrol is good for blood vessels. It's good for protecting against elevated blood sugars. It's good for diabetes, and it's the reason why you're told to drink red wine. So the recommended amount of resveratrol that you're supposed to have on average is about 200 milligrams a day. So that means you'd have to drink about 100 bottles of wine to get that. Now, that's just not possible to do. And so that's why supplementation is so important to do if you're trying to get therapeutic pharmacological effects with natural substances. Supplementation is great that way, and then you can augment it and support it by eating, because the diet is it's the best place for you to make changes as far as how your body is getting fed, literally and figuratively, biochemically, every single day. And so if you're feeding yourself with pro-inflammatory things like, toxic meat and dairy is one of the most common allergens out there. More than half of the people on the face of the planet can't digest it at all. And so it's also known to really stimulate mucus and phlegm production. So if you have really bad allergies all year long, take out dairy first. If you're struggling with allergies right now, take out dairy first. I do detoxification protocols that are probably the most intense without a prescription available. I have people eat only vegetables and fruits and some nuts for 30 days, and it lowers their inflammatory levels, and it's rough because you're doing an elimination diet at the same time you're doing a detoxification, and it can bring up a lot of stuff. But usually their allergies improve, and I take out a lot of the most common things that people can be sensitive to. And sleep improves, allergies improve, blood pressure improves, and like all of this, because it's addressing what? It's addressing inflammation and toxicity. Now, you could say that it adds to the stress because people are so attached to what they eat, and it does restrict their diet significantly, but it can lessen the amount of stress that's on your body just because you're not adding to the extra inflammation that you're being inundated with every day. So we do that where we take out all kinds of different stuff all at the same time and see how people feel. Now, you can do it step by step. So you can take out dairy and see how you feel. Do it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You don't necessarily have to do testing. Most of these things you will recognize no matter what. So dairy is a big one. Take it out 2-3 weeks and then have it and see how your body reacts. Eggs are another big one. Wheat, corn, soy, citrus actually too, even though I don't really want to believe it because I eat so much citrus and I think that it's so good for you, but it's worth trying because a lot of people are sensitive to it. And nightshade family. So tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, eggplant, those are all part of the nightshade family, as well as goji berries, unfortunately, because I love them, but they are a little bit, they're part of the nightshade family as well. So, and remember, deadly nightshade is technically, it's a poison in the right doses, and so theoretically parts of that family can cause inflammation as well. And in only some people, I think. I don't see it necessarily in everybody, but in a lot of people, they do cause inflammation as well. So if you take out those big things, then I would bet your seasonal allergies would significantly improve. Now, I should really listen to my own advice because I had a little bit of dairy this morning. I had cream in my coffee, and I had a little bit of wheat as well because I made some things with my Egyptian wheat that I brought back, and I'm doing a test to see if I'm sensitive to the gluten in the Egyptian wheat. So I did some baking with it. And I didn't have citrus, so that's good. I didn't have orange juice or anything like that. And I didn't have, well, I might have had a little eggs because it wasn't a baked product. So maybe that was why by the time I got in here and sat down, I was already starting to be snotty. But I guess we'll see. I already feel way clearer. I'm not sniffing. I'm a little bit stuffed up still a bit, but let's have some more vitamin C and see what happens. Now, have I removed the cause of what's going on? No. I ate a little bit like an a-hole this morning, and there's still, citrus trees blooming, and pear trees and all the ornamentals all over, Northern California are in full bloom, just dropping their pollen everywhere. So I'm not able to really control that, obviously. And orange blossoms are probably my favorite smell on the whole planet. So I leave all the windows open, and I'm over there sniffing that tree as much as possible. I love it. But I think it's also causing a little bit of inflammation, obviously. Plus all the other flowers, who knows? So if we can get my system under control enough, then I'll be able to continue to enjoy that without, being like a nasty faucet of dripping face. We talked about the supplements to take, control and suppress those symptoms in a way, because you're stabilizing the mast cells, and there's other anti-inflammatory processes that are going through that as well. So I do recommend trying that rather than taking Claritin every day until the end of time, or just for your seasonal things. Vitamin D is also an important thing to look at because it does regulate the immune system, and that can be really helpful in figuring out just basic support across the board. Vitamin D is good for just about every system in the body. So you want to add a little bit of that as well. Now, we talked about breakdown of histamine, and also Benadryl is a general antihistamine. And it's interesting because what are some of the side effects of Benadryl? Well, grogginess, because histamine is actually an inflammatory, or it's not inflammatory, but a stimulatory or stimulating neurotransmitter or neuropeptide in the brain. And so if you have a lot of histamine, you likely are, your brain is probably on fire with inflammation as well. And the way that looks like is anxiety, OCD, ADHD, bipolar, trichotillomania, you name it, as far as like whatever your brain is likely, if it's out of balance, going to express itself as. Could be depression as well. That's what's going to happen if you have high inflammation in your brain. And histamine is very irritating. It's like estrogen, and it causes a lot of anxiety, and insomnia is another big piece that we can look at here too. And so that's why I had the combination of allergies and sleep today, because during the season, often, even if it's not your allergies that are bothering you, that are keeping you awake, it can be a time of insomnia and trouble sleeping. I've been tracking my sleep with a Fitbit for quite some time now. And I don't really know exactly how accurate it is. I think there's better things out there to do sleep tracking, but as far as the price, I thought it was a good way to go. It helps keep me accountable. Remember, accountability is the best way to make changes in your life. And even if it's just a little thing on a watch that's telling me, how much sleep I actually got, like how long I was actually in bed, that helps me. How much I moved around. Like I can see when my schedule, over the days, like I'll get 2,000 steps on a day where I have lots of clients, and I got 14,000 yesterday. And so there's a big difference with how you're moving, how you're choosing to live your life, and the things that you're doing to your health. So I like the Fitbit. I like trackers that help with accountability. I like food journals. I like emotional journals. I like workout buddies, because accountability is always one of the most powerful things in medicine. And with Benadryl being an antihistamine, it makes you drowsy. And that's really interesting because it's stopping the effects of histamine in the brain. And a lot of people use Benadryl to sleep because they're not sleeping well, and it knocks them out with the histamine. Now, that's not the best way to go, because remember, if you use a sleep aid more than 17 times a year, then it increases your risk of developing cancer as much as if you smoked cigarettes. And those are like Benadryl, alcohol, Lunesta, Ambien, those hypnotic class. And so we'll talk a little bit about what to do to sleep when we get back from the break.
Do you remember the last time you felt healthy and energetic? What would you do if you could regain your health and feel good again? Enjoy spending time with your family? Take a trip. Get back to being active and doing the things that you love. Naturopathic MD can help because we practice natural, functional, logical medicine. Have you ever cut yourself and taken a prescription to stop the bleeding, but the cut stayed open? No, because your body can heal itself. Cuts are usually easy to heal, but chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and digestive problems need the expert support we can provide. Are you ready to take action and get your life back? Sign up for one of our elite concierge programs today.
All right. So after that shameless plug, let's talk a little bit about the food sensitivities a little bit more. I'm actually transitioning from the ALCAT test into LEAP testing, which is like the next generation of watching how the immune system freaks out in relation to different foods that you expose it to. And with the ALCAT test historically, I've seen really fantastic improvements in people's sleep. Like they haven't been able to sleep, and then all of a sudden they can, or they do so better, or it's not as difficult, or they don't snore like a freight train, or their energy levels are just better no matter what. And that's because inflammation is such a terrible toll on the body. Now, the ALCAT and other food sensitivity testing, if you ran every single one out there, you would probably be sensitive to everything, or based on one test or another, because these are foreign proteins that we're putting into our bodies. So we really just want to see what we tolerate best. And I do recommend the LEAP testing or the ALCAT test. It's a great place to start. It's not perfect, no, but it gives you a really good place to see, what's freaking out your immune system more than other things, and be able to avoid them to improve your inflammation and decrease it and help with your allergies and your sleep and your gut health across the board. Because remember, inflammation is like a fire burning through your body, and you're going to have to quell it somehow. So sleep. I've had a really rough, I didn't sleep for about a week. And I remember when I got back from Egypt, all I did was sleep. Like I just slept, straight. And this last week, I didn't sleep well at all. And I was just struggling. And I would look at my Fitbit and I wouldn't be getting deep sleep, or I would wake up, 3-4 times a night to actually get up. The Fitbit will say that you're awake, 57 times all night long, but I would actually wake up and have trouble going back to sleep. And I'm a good sleeper. It's not an issue that I usually have. Thank God, because I would lose my mind. So me not being able to sleep for a period of time is a freaking emergency. I don't function on no sleep. And I've been really trying to be very conscious about getting my 7 to 8 hours. I just can't freaking get any more because even if I'm in bed 10 hours, my stupid Fitbit says, oh, great, you got 8 hours. You were awake 2 hours. And I don't know how true that is, but that's besides the point. And there's, other things that I like to do in the evening besides just, go to frickin' bed. Even though my mother used to say, that would just cure everything. Mom, I have a cold, go to bed. Mom, I, have a headache, go to bed. I think she just was so exhausted. She just needed us to go to bed. We're like, Mom, I have a broken leg, go to bed, right? It'll all be fixed. So now I've been working on that in my old self-care program as far as like, how am I going to help heal up my body and strengthen myself and, help with all of the stuff that I'm going through. Like Samuel Jackson says, go the F to sleep. So I have been. And I couldn't sleep this last week. And so I did a lot of detective work because it's an emergency. I do not, this is something I have to address immediately. Sure, I have pharmaceuticals that I can chew down and take and get some sleep, but that's not really good sleep. Now, is it? Like you might close your eyes and not wake up, but you're not getting into the good realms of sleep that help with your brain health, your memory, feeling refreshed, your intelligence even. And so we want to make sure that we get into those realms of like deep sleep in order to, and sleep, nobody really knows. Like it's still, what's the final frontier of medicine? It's definitely neurology, no doubt. They have no idea what's going on with most of it. Sleep is a huge thing. We still don't really know why we dream, or, let's get a little bit crazy, like lucid dreaming or, prophetic dreams, or, where you're tapped in and like there, no clue. We still use relatively small amounts of our brain percentage-wise, day-to-day activities. And so I guess that was a bit of a side note. I needed to freaking sleep. So I took a lot of nutraceuticals. I have a sleep pack, and I watched my Fitbit and what the response was. And so I took my stage 3. So I have 3 stages of sleep packs on Naturopathic MD. Stage 1 is some botanical support and some magnesium. It's for if you occasionally have trouble sleeping, you're young, you're carefree, you don't have any problems, you don't have any hormone dysregulation or imbalances. That might be antiquated because with, the generations behind me or that are younger than me, their hormones and their neurological systems and their toxicity levels are so high that that's probably for, older people actually rather than younger. So I take that back. Anyway, that did not help. So I went to stage 2 and I piggybacked them and I added in some melatonin and some magnolia for cortisol and did some cortisol management, as well as some, California poppy and some hypnotics to really try to, get myself under control. That really didn't help either. I was under some significant stress for the last few weeks, months, years. It caught up with me a little bit this last week, pushed me over the edge. So I took step 3, which is where I added in some pregnenolone. And I want to talk quite a bit about pregnenolone today because it's a precursor to progesterone and cortisol. And so if you're all freaked out and you're all stressed out and you're, making cortisol like an MFer, then you're depleting your pregnenolone if you're a woman, right? And a man too. But more importantly, if you're a woman and you're not making your progesterone, this gives you heavy periods, anxiety, depression, premenstrual syndrome, insomnia. And since I'm not really a spring chicken, and I'm under gargantuan amounts of stress, my pregnenolone shift is significant. And so I try to take that religiously, but sometimes I don't take care of myself and, I fall off the wagon. This was a good wake-up call to get back on it. And so I took the pregnenolone and added that to the sleep packs. It was better, but it still wasn't great. And so that's like step 3. That's, I added in extra magnesium and took, 3 grams of GABA too, because, being an anxious freak runs in the family and we get it, nature, nurture, double barrels, baby. So I hammered myself with GABA. Made me feel a little bit better while I was awake, so I wasn't so anxious and stressed at that period of time. I did my adrenal support in the morning. And, but granted, a lot of this stuff you have to do regularly rather than, start feeling like shit and then feel like you got to throw everything at yourself, over a couple of days to manage it. And luckily I'm healthy enough and I've been doing this long enough and I have, access to a full, medicinary of magical things that it did, make some changes as far as that benefited. However, I had to bring in other sides to really get a good sleep. So what did I do? I didn't go pharmaceuticals, but I was doing pharmaceutical dosing of nutraceuticals, which are, the natural things. And so I did my, favorite. If you've listened before, my freaking favorite. I did my hot as hell, I guess is a word I could say, not get in too much trouble, be too vulgar. That's funny. Hot Epsom salt baths. I put 2 cups or more of Epsom salt. I go through a lot of Epsom salt. You can absorb that magnesium through the skin, which can, chill a bitch out. But the heat also helps dilate everything. It activates your parasympathetic system. It is relaxing. It'll, you have to diaphrese, you have to sweat. It helps get rid of toxins. And then, I go outside in the cold in California, it's all relative, right? And I alternate between those things, and that helps balance your parasympathetic and your sympathetic system. It also helps kind of relax you. Your vessels relax, your, blood pressure goes down. Remember, you have to definitely drink a lot of water when you do that, obviously with electrolytes too, because you're sweating so much. I do a New York Times crossword while I'm in there, or I'll meditate while I'm in there too, just to make myself stay in there and sweat, because it can be uncomfortable. I'm talking, this is hot. I'm not burning. I'm not getting blisters, obviously, but be smart about it, but push the envelope of what is hot, because you want to sweat and you want that hydrotherapy element of it. When you induce a fever, it's really good for the immune system. But also you're, burning off some of those negative hormones that are causing stress too. So I did that. That was relaxing. That was good. I've been doing a buttload of meditations because when your life is on fire, what do? Well, now I'm finally going to do all of the shit I know that I really should do day to day. And so I really started hammering it and doing the deep breathing. But the other piece that I think helped significantly was the deep sleep diurnal tones. I got some on YouTube. I mean, YouTube is, I don't know, my second favorite thing on the internet, I think. I have mixed feelings about the internet. It's the most wonderful thing that's ever existed, technological wise, and it is the worst thing that has ever existed, technology wise. So I feel a little schizophrenic about that, I guess. But YouTube has so many meditation options, hypnosis options, deep sleep. You can teach yourself to do just about anything on YouTube. It's a great resource, and I recommend using it. Not just to watch, funny cat videos, because while they make you laugh and they do have great value for that, there's more to it than that, people. So I listened to that, and it really helped. And I'm retraining, like my sleep, watching my deep sleep length, it improved tremendously over the last few days. And that's with still taking all of those supplements. I mean, people bitch about how many, vitamins they have to take. I was talking to a colleague last night, and I had just taken 3 grams of GABA and getting ready for my, nighttime protocol. And I, could notice, I was like, well, I feel okay. I feel better. And he said, well, if you eat well and you exercise and you sleep and you take your supplements and you meditate or pray or, whatever this, how you get to feel? I was like, here it comes, right? Normal. He's like, you get to feel normal. You're not going to levitate. You're not going to fly. You're not going to have superhuman powers. Your hormones are in balance. Great. You know what you get to feel? Normal, healthy, good. It's not like you're going to be superhuman. Now, I might disagree a little bit. I think that there's a way to push the envelope where you can feel really, really, really good. But there is an element of truth to that. You can just feel normal. We have so many assaults on our health and our life, with toxicity and stress that we're under, and the food is all poisonous unless you, get a doctorate in how to shop. And it can be a really overwhelming place to be in. And so I'm taking all of these pills just to help me sleep because I'm under so much stress. And the things that I think really helped me turn the corner were things that weren't necessarily supplements that I had to take. It was listening to the diurnal tones. I also tried something called pink noise. I love, you Google pink noise. It's not white noise. It's not mechanical static. I'm not a big fan of that. But because I'm a natural. I mean, it's all natural, right? So pink noise is the sound of nature that you can play. So I started putting it on my iPad for my kid. Can you guys notice that my allergies are gone? Just as a side note, did you notice that I'm not snotting or sneezing or dripping or anything? My eyes are actually open. I think that's pretty, like my 4-year-old would say, that's pretty damn ass cool, mama. We might have a cursing problem in the family. Anyway, I distracted myself. So the pink noise is natural noise, natural sounds like crickets and frogs and rainstorms and thunder and running water. And we're so separated from nature. I will say again and again, I think that the root of all disease, all of it, 100%, unless you get stabbed by a rusty nail, so maybe not 100%, but besides infections that you can't avoid, chronic disease comes from how far away we get from nature. Now, the paleo guys would love this, right? Even though, I subscribe to some paleo, but I'm not a zealot about it. The further you get from nature, the more sick you get. So go walk outside, go smell a flower, even if it makes you sneeze, right? Stay away from the toxic shit that they're dumping everywhere. Monsanto and Bayer got sued again for causing cancer. We're putting it everywhere. You can still buy it in Lowe's. Don't do it. You know what? Would you rather have a dandelion in your lawn or lymphoma. I guess that's your choice, but no judgment about what you make. So that's just one example. There's toxic nastiness everywhere. And the more sodas you drink and the more things that you eat out of a box or a bag, the sicker you are going to be. The more, electronic light and, fields of, magnetic bullshit and wireless and, paint and all of this crap that you're exposed to, the sicker you are going to be. The more processed food you eat, the sicker you're going to be, because the further you're getting away from nature. Now, do I think we all should live in a cave and spear hunt and not, just not cook anything over fire, because that's bad too, because you get ages? No, let's be reasonable, right? But go outside and walk barefoot. Are you freaking kidding me? We have to do studies that breastfeeding is better than formula. I don't know. I should probably ask my producer for how many F-bombs I can drop on this. Because I guess I'm getting a little excited about it. Anyway, get a life, right? How much money do you need to spend to see if breastfeeding is better than freaking formula made out of corn syrup and soy and dairy and other, fake vitamins? Also, 20 minutes in nature is really good for you. No kidding. Okay, good. I'm glad we have a study about that. Walking barefoot helps, dispel ions. Working in the soil has probiotics and good microorganisms that are antidepressant. Awesome. Go outside. Enjoy nature. Take a walk. Step away from the screen. All of these things, they're going to be, supporting your body. Eat vegetables. Grow them too. God, that's hand in hand. One of these days I'm going to have my ranch and you're just going to see cows and bees and flowers and trees and mountains behind me while I do this, rather than books. I'm on my way. I'm intentionally forming and manifesting my life. Let's see how the magic goes. Anyway, I have a few more things to talk about before we have to go. Get back to nature. So you don't have YouTube again, right? Playing your pink sounds, your nature sounds, that can really help. The diurnal beats and the frequencies as far as playing that music, I think that helped too. Granted, I also dosed myself with 100 milligrams of progesterone. I am in the week before my period, TMI, TFB, and so estrogen makes you crazy. It can. When it's out of balance, like what's PMS? Estrogen dominance. What's a lot of anxiety? Menopause, the first symptoms, hot flashes, when you start dropping your basket, when your hormones start to change, anxiety, insomnia, estrogen needs to balance with progesterone. Because I wasn't taking my pregnenolone like a good girl, like I should have been for a long period of time, when my progesterone started to drop off right before, my cycle started, estrogen's like, ha, 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 I'm going to make you into a fruitcake. And you're not going to sleep. And you're going to be anxious. And that's exactly what happened. So I took 100 milligrams of progesterone. And ooh, la, la. I actually feel not like a freak today, which is pretty good. And I slept. And instead of getting 13 minutes of deep sleep, I got an hour and 13 minutes of deep sleep. And so why we have to look, if you're not getting your deep sleep, if you're not feeling regenerated or good, if you don't wake up in the morning like, hot damn, right? Like my 4-year-old was up at 6:30 this morning and he came in and I was like, buddy, I know the time changed. Like we used to sleep till 7:30. What's with the 6:30 stuff? Like we were spoiled, the easiest kid on record for the most part. And he's like, the Tweeties, the birds are up tweeting, mama. It's time to get up. That's fair, right? Someday they'll allow that time change and life will be good. Like God bless Arizona. Anyway, he wakes up like, hot damn, let's go out and F some stuff up, right? He's 4, that's what he does. if you're not waking up like that, you're not sleeping enough. Your hormones and your thyroid probably aren't working well enough. Your adrenal system is toast because you've hated your job for the last 25 years and your partner and where you live and the car you drive and your family, right? It's a lot of things to stress out about. So how do we address that? Well, things have got to get shifted. Things have got to change. But you need to support your adrenals as well. I was on the phone with a couple of friends of mine because I'm about ready to make a big shift in my life. And they're like, well, like if you're feeling better, if your hormones are balanced and your adrenals are functioning well, you're probably not going to feel like this. You're probably not going to want to make these big changes. And you know what? That's really fair. And it's absolutely true. Like if you are feeling in a place of strength and you feel good and your adrenals are supported, great. You're not anxious, you're not depressed, you're sleeping well. You're not going to be upset if someone cuts you off on the freeway as much as if your system isn't in balance and isn't supported and isn't strong. Now, just quickly, I only have a few minutes left. I want to talk about progesterone. Progesterone has just been FDA approved as a postpartum depression medicine that they want to charge $30,000 for. Now, I will tell you, they've obviously altered it, right? Because it can be patented and they can charge for that when you can get a prescription through a compounding pharmacy for progesterone for about 1/100th that price. 1% of that, you can get 30 to 60 day supply of progesterone to help you sleep. People ask a lot about insomnia and perimenopause and all of the hormone, shitstorm that can happen around that time of change. And the first thing to decrease in perimenopause usually is progesterone. And so if you support that, or if you give progesterone bioidentical because the body recognizes it better and metabolizes it better, then you can have a resolution of hot flashes, anxiety, insomnia, weight gain, breast tenderness, even a little bit of the crazy, right? So that's what I did. And I'll tell you, my progesterone that I took 100 milligrams of capsule at night to help me sleep and keep me from being a total stress case freakazoid was not $30,000. So you can contact Naturopathic MD if you've got questions about that. You can go to your local naturopath and ask for bioidentical hormone help. Make sure that how do you find someone that you can trust? Have them run lab tests. I like blood. I don't think saliva, it's too much. It's a terrible pain in the ass of a test. You got to do it all month. You know what? Who has time for that first go round? So in your luteal phase, so days 18 through 21-ish, get a blood test to look at your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone. Have them check the blood because, you can treat on symptoms, but I like to have the data to make sure that you're not doing it wrong or doing it dangerously. And find someone that will give you bioidenticals. There's still compounding pharmacies all over the country. The FDA hasn't completely been able to do away with them yet. And it's good medicine and it's important. And so that is a really good thing, especially for perimenopausal and menopausal women to explore. So hopefully you got a lot of information out of that episode. I can breathe free and clear and easy. It's a pretty good experiment to be done on, live podcast, Facebook, whatever, all of the different formats that this thing is on. Again, nettles, vitamin C, and I did EPA, DHA, fish oil for that. And I, we'll probably have to do it a little bit later on, but if I don't eat wheat or dairy, I bet I don't have to do it that soon. Now, if I want to eat wheat and dairy, I'll have to do it again, and I'll probably have to dose a lot. So you can experiment on your own. You can visit Naturopathic MD and get our access to pharmaceutical grade supplementation. The code is Real Medicine. Contact us if you have any questions at naturopathicmd.com. This has been the Bad Girl's Guide to Living Well about allergies and sleep and menopause and progesterone and everything that can go nuts in the brain and the life, and get back to nature. And I'll see you next Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
You've been listening to the Bad Girl's Guide to Living Well.